We need money to fulfill our closing funds requirement, right? Now, what is closing fund requirement? Who is going to tell me what is closing funds requirement? Funds need at the time of closing. Very good. So, why we need funds? Let's say there is a loan amount. Borrower is taking a loan amount of $90,000. Okay. Purchase price of property. Purchase price of property is maybe 100,000 plus closing, plus borrower is taking the loan, so loan charges, loan fees, loan closing fee need to be paid, right? Loan closing fee need to be paid. Fees need to be paid, maybe $4,000. Or I would say it is a closing fee, I would say it's a loan charges. Borrower is taking a loan, there are going to be file charges. So loan transaction fee or loan fee, loan fees is maybe $4,000, right? So borrower is going to purchase property 100,000. This need to be paid to seller, whoever selling the property, and this need to be because borrower taking the loan of 90,000. So this need to be paid to the lender who is giving the loan, right? This is the total money 104,000 that borrower need to arrange. If borrower will have 104,000, then only he can pay 100,000 to seller and 4,000 to lender. Now, how borrower is arranging? Borrower taking the loan of, borrower is taking the loan amount of 90,000. Loan amount $90,000. Okay, rest of the money, loan amount will be taken and will be paid to the seller. So rest of the money 4,000 plus 10,000, $14,000 still need to be paid. So out of this 14,000, 10,000 need to be paid to seller and 4,000 need to be paid to lender. So 14,000 need to be, this is called, now if borrower has to close this transaction, so borrower need to bring 14,000 in. So closing, this is closing cost. Closing cost paid by seller. Sorry, paid by borrower. Right? Borrower is going to pay this closing cost 14,000. Now, if we need 14,000, we need to see the proof. It is a closing cost that borrower need to bring in for closing. So if borrower need to bring in closing, borrower need to show us the proof that here I have the money available. So it could be only checking account where borrower could have 15,000. It could be saving account where borrower could have 15,000 or 20,000 or maybe 100,000, right? Any of the account, or there could be multiple accounts. So whatever the accounts available or that has with the borrower is going to provide those accounts, right? And we are going to verify the amount from those bank statements, and accordingly we are going to consider the amount. If borrower has a checking account, there is $5,000 available, we still need $9,000. If there is borrower might be providing us saving account and their borrower has $10,000 available. So yes, we are good. We need 14,000, borrower has 15,000. We are good to close this loan, right? But whenever this happens, let's say, now in this example, borrower has given us checking account and saving account, right? One has 15,000, 10,000. We need to see whether the bank statement, the information provided to us is fulfilling all our conditions. So what are the conditions? First, we need 14,000. Borrower has given us two bank statements. So according to the our review system, we need to review both the bank statement that checking. The number one checking account. Number one is the checking account or saving account, right? We are going to verify accounts for the different information. What all the information we need to see any of the account? Number one, bank name. Which one is the bank? Bank name, right? Then bank address could be there, but that is not mandatory. Bank name should always be there. Then account number. What is the account number? Then the third is statement period. Statement period. Now, whenever it comes to statement period, always remember on a generic basis, generally, we need 2 months of bank statements in each loan. But again, it is not mandatory that each loan should have 2 months of bank statement, right? There could be different loans, and always, I would say, always follow AUS guidelines, DU or LP guidelines. Sometimes it might ask us to go for only 1 month bank statement. If AUS itself asking us or telling us to go for 1 month bank statement or accept to verify 1 month bank statement, we are good to verify 1 month bank statement. But generally, we need 2 months of bank statement. Now, when I say 2 months of bank statement, that those should be consecutive bank statements. Okay, consecutive bank statements. That means from first, let's say it's June 1 to 30. Then we next need from the July 1 to 31st. That is the 2 month. Let's say instead of July 1, it is starting on 4. So 3 days are missing. Borrower need to provide statement for 3 days as well. Or borrower cannot provide a June 1 to 30 and then providing August 1 to August 31st. No. We need 2 month. We need consecutive bank statement, right? It should be in this month by month. Okay. No date within the 60 days. It should be. It should miss. Okay, now then 2 month bank statement, it should be consecutive, and again the validity, if there is a date, so we also need to see the expiry date. Always remember, bank statement should not be greater than 60 days old from 1003 date. That is how we are going to check the validity of the bank statements. Should not be greater than 60 days old from the 1003 date. But again, also review for the validity period. Some client might say you should not be more than 45 days old. That is also fine. If your client or your investor guideline tells you to consider, do not consider any bank statement if those are more than 45 days old from 1003 date, then you can follow that as well. But generally, yes, it is great. It should not be greater than 60 days old whenever it is 2 month bank statements. Are we good till this?
Yes.
Okay, now the bank name, account number, statement period, 2 month bank, statement period. We also saw the validity. Now the borrower name. Borrower name should be there. And borrower current address. That is the best document to check the borrower's current address. So here, borrowers. If we have multiple borrowers, it could be multiple applicant as well. If we come across that bank statement is in, like our borrower name is, John, and we see that bank statement has been provided. There are 2 account holders. Account holder name is John and maybe Jeannie, right? Now, I mean, we do not know who Jeannie is. When we see the 1003 telling borrower is unmarried, right, or single, but there is a Jeannie. We do not know who is Jeannie. Then when whoever the other than spouse, whoever the borrower co-holder on any of the bank statement and borrower is using funds from that bank statement to close the account, to close toward the closing cost, then we always need, from the other, additional co-holder, whoever the, account holder, additional account holder need to provide us 100% access letter, which will state that yes, like borrower or whatever the name, if it, in this scenario it is John, so John has 100% access to the funds. Access to the funds. That letter always required from the co-holder. If that co-holder is not already not a spouse of borrower. Is that clear? What document we need? 100% access letter, access to the funds. Okay, that a letter stating that borrower John has 100% access to the funds so that he can use all the funds. Done? Clear to everyone?
Yes.
Very nice.